All right, guys, welcome back to Screenworthy, brought to you by The Mind Refinery. I'm your host, Kyle Bodanis. This week, we're doing a full Star Wars nerd out, talking about The Mandalorian and an updated look at the state of the Star Wars franchise. If you like what you hear, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have time, follow The Mind Refinery on social media. And now, on with the show. Here today to discuss Season 2 of The Mandalorian and an updated state of the Star Wars IP are Mind Refinery Creatives, John Neal.
What up?
And the hardest working man in show business, Andrew Lanza.
Well, I don't know about that, but hey, how's everybody doing?
I don't even know if you're the hardest working guy in this podcast.
I'm not even the hardest working guy in this room, and I'm by myself.
All right, guys, as we record this, we are a couple days away from sitting by ourselves in a hyperbaric chamber for the holidays. And about 5 days since the season 2 finale, Disney also released their slate of content for Disney Plus, and of course they are riding the IP wave like crazy. Part of this was a major investment in Star Wars content. So first we're going to look at Season 2 of The Mandalorian, and then we're going to look at the Star Wars franchise, where it sits, which seems to be in a better place than when we discussed this before. I believe, John, when we asked you about the Star Wars franchise, your answer was no. I'm not even sure what that was.
No. His answer was, I don't care.
He just says no. I'm like, I don't even know what your reference, what it was in reference to. He just said no, and like in hindsight, that was spot on. So what I want to do is, guys, I want to talk about our expectations going into this season. What were they? Why don't you start us off, Andrew Lanza?
Well, we're writing off last season, which, was a little hit or miss. They definitely kind of brought it together in the end. We talked initially, I remember in the podcast, about kind of it being really like a villain of the week, a destination of the week, where Mando's like, I need help, and the guy's like, I need help. If you help me, I'll help you. And then it was kind of every episode, but they tied it together nicely in the end of season 1. So I did have some, expectations going into season 2. And honestly, like, I wasn't trying to get too hyped with everything Star Wars as of late, ever since,
Can break
the early, like, ever since the 2000s. I've kind of like
for 20 years.
Yeah. Everything Star Wars, I have like a cautious optimism for. Like, I'm a fan of the series, so I want it to be good, but I'm a fan of the series, so I know it probably won't be. So, as I said, I had some expectations going into it, and I gotta say they were fully blown out of the water. This season knocked it out of the park. Throwing it to you guys. Well, John Neal, what did you think about this season, man? What were your expectations?
I didn't really have any going into this. Like, there was the last couple episodes of season 1 of The Mandalorian I really liked, and between the two seasons, I managed to get caught up on Clone Wars, and I managed to get caught up on Rebels.
Wow.
So I had more of an expectation than I thought I would when they announced that Ahsoka Tano was going to be in the show, and that it was going to be Rosario Dawson that was playing her. I thought that was going to be like the big thing this season, right? Because they managed to keep mostly everything else under wraps. So I didn't have a huge expectation. I wasn't too sure how it was going to go or how it was going to play out, because it was more or less like a villain of the week thing, like you were saying before. So I don't know. I wasn't too sure how I was going to feel about it, but very, very surprised at how much I ended up just falling in love with this show. And that's a first for me, probably since I was 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, since like realistically like Jedi.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly.
Well, since like the initial like Phantom Menace hype wore off.
Yeah.
The only thing I really knew about going into it is I figured Ahsoka would be in it.
Yeah, you had Rosario Dawson tweeting.
Yeah,
and stuff
so
like
I mean
that
was
that was known.
And she pushed hard for it too. She was like, that was something she wanted to do.
I thought she would be a bigger part, to be quite honest with you. She had she was just pretty much in the one episode, right? Other than her like kind of being teased in like the previous one, I think. But yeah, she was just in the one episode.
I mean, my expectations were high, although there were some issues with the first season, which of course is to be kind of expected. The final 2 to 3 episodes really kind of pulled it together for me. They're really good, especially the end, with the whole death of IG-11 thing. It was really, really great, really fantastic stuff.
Which I didn't know, but there's a statue of him when they're on Tatooine. There's like a commemorative statue of IG-88, or not IG-88, whatever his name is.
IG-11.
IG-11.
I didn't notice that. I mean, so
I
obviously
didn't notice it. I read it like after the fact.
Oh, I love that. Going into this, we're all wondering, what's going to go on with the Baby Yoda situation. What's the
Grogu?
The Grogu. What's going to be the Moff? The Moff Gus Frings situation going to be? Dark Sabers.
Jedi's. They set it up nice. Yeah, they set it up nice.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was put together really, really nice, and like even just like showing the Dark Saber and everything made everyone go crazy. And
a coherent story in Star Wars. Incredible.
Yeah, I was really happy with the fact that there was basic good writing. I mean, that was
They didn't just retcon the whole first season?
Yeah, I know they should have. They just retconned all of. They even retconned the original trilogy. Just
no,
to make
but
sure.
Actually, he's a Palpatine.
Yeah. They're like Grogu is really a Solo.
It's Darth Bane's offspring.
It's Darth Bane's
Mando's just a fucking Skywalker.
Yeah.
Mando's a fucking Chewbacca. What was our thoughts on the actual? Like, what was our actual thoughts on the season?
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in. I honestly really liked it. Like, everything was just kicked up a notch from the last season. Like, all the action sequences, like, as I was watching it, like, the first season, like, some of the action sequences are like this CG is kind of like a little shady. Like, there's times when he's like riding on his speeder bike and stuff, and it looks like a little off. And like this season, like all the like huge set piece action sequences that aren't just like, like half a minute or whatever. These are like full action sequences that are like movie quality action sequences. What be they fight scenes, space battles. There were some dope ass battles on the ground. For instance, when the I know when those guys were attacking the little like transport that's filled in like the Bill Burr episode, that's like filled with all the like the explosive material. I don't know. I just thought the action and just like everything was just kicked up a notch. Like even the acting, the writing, the characterization. I just thought everything was just a step above last season. So I genuinely really, really, really enjoyed this season.
Yeah. Like, I think the big thing for me is I couldn't wait to see the next episode.
Yeah.
Which was something that I didn't really have from seeing season 1, just because every episode kind of felt like it was a one-off thing. But objectively speaking, every single episode in this season, some, were sort of filler episodes, but not really, because they tended to move the plot along, sort of getting to the next thing and discovering the next thing. But objectively speaking, every episode was very good this season. Like, even, I know, Kyle, you had initially some reservations about episode 1.
Yeah, the first one I was like,
Right.
I can't deal with this Gunsmoke shit for an entire full season.
Right, but
But the first episode had so much Deadwood though.
That's true. I was like, where's fucking Swearingen?
But it was a really good episode. Like, on its own merits, speaking objectively, it was really fucking good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
No, and the same could be said for chapter 10, which was the passenger episode, which I actually, at first when I saw the frog character, I was kind of like, well, this is going to be interesting. And then it turned out to actually be pretty fucking dope.
Wait, is that the one where Grogu's just eating its kids the whole time?
Yeah. Yeah.
So good. He just doesn't give a fuck. He's just like munching them. He's like, those are babies. Stop.
Yeah, these are literally the future of this guy's family.
Yeah.
And you're just like fucking smoking them down.
He's eating them like fucking cheese balls.
Also, the rating for that episode is the lowest one of the season, at least on IMDb. And I actually thought that was a really great episode 2.
I would still say that was probably the worst episode.
Yeah.
Objectively, it was still a great episode. Don't get me wrong, but it was like when you have a season where that was your worst episode, it was a pretty good season.
Yeah, they raised the shittiness floor on this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the worst episode wasn't like completely egregious like the previous Bryce Dallas Howard episode.
Oh, I mean, God, that was so bad.
Yeah, but then hers this season was good.
Yeah. I saw her name at the end of the episode. I'm like, all right, well done. I can't remember which one it was, but I was like, all right, that was a good episode. Well done. You redeemed yourself.
Yeah, from the second episode on, it was really great. Like, we met Bo-Katan, which was really sick. You know what I mean? And I like that we kind of ushered in the next phase of the Dave Filoni, like, Clone Wars Rebels storylines, because really they've been propping up the series. Because the last time we talked about this, with the Rise of Skywalker thing, we were all in like a deep bout of depression. So I mean, like, and honestly, straight up to Dave Filoni for making elements of the prequels actually good. And at the end of the day, although I think that I appreciate episodes 1 and 3, not 2 because it's objectively terrible, just in all forms. I have to admit, the new trilogy made me appreciate them a lot more. Because the shitty.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, but what it took was even more garbage to come out. It's like what it really took for me to appreciate garbage was worse garbage. So Ahsoka, I mean, was sick as well. Like the rumors ended up being true. It was really fantastic. The opening scene of that show was amazing. Shoutouts to
oh my god, where she's like coming in and out of the mist.
It's so good.
Fuck. So well done.
That was good.
The cinematography in this season, let me just shout it out.
It was really well put together.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Like everything is just so crisp, like so money. Everything looks so good in this season.
And shoutouts to our boy Kyle Reese, Michael Bain, for coming out. Good to see him get a paycheck in that episode. It's good. I mean, this guy got fucked up by a Terminator and he's back in action. Then he got fucked up again. He's just getting fucked up left and right. I mean, the season really kind of helped fulfill the promise of the first season and acted as like a salve for the sequel trilogy. And like now Star Wars has something that's pushing the narrative a bit more. Like it's making people want to listen. I mean, like also like we kind of touched on some of these things, but like what were our season highlights?
Oh man, I honestly have to give a shout out to Bill Burr.
I was just about that was going to be mine. Yeah.
Because
dude can act.
Outside of maybe the finale episode, which obviously we'll talk about, but his episode in particular was my favorite one of the season.
John, I think you said something. What did you say in the group chat? Something about like there was more like character development in that.
He had more character development than Finn had, and they did it in less than 30. Yeah, and they did it in one scene in one episode of this show.
Dude, that scene where he's like having the drink with like the Imperial commander or whatever, and like Mando's there without his helmet on.
Joe Chill. Just having drinks with Joe Chill.
Yeah. That was like you're 100% right, man. Like the and like that wasn't an easy scene to deliver. And like I don't know, I've seen Bill Burr in some stuff, and I wouldn't say like he's not a bad actor, but I wouldn't say he's like the best actor ever. But honestly, in that scene, dude knocked it out of the park.
He just doesn't have range. That's all. But he's not like. He's a stand-up comedian, you know what I mean? Like he's not like he just doesn't have range. But the stuff he is in, like he chooses his roles wisely. Yeah. And like this was really good because he's playing kind of a dirtbag. He's kind of funny, but he's also got that swarthy look. And I think that comment about Finn is spot on. And I really feel bad for John Boyega because I believe he's a very talented individual.
And they set him up for so much in the first.
I mean, the whole thing was just like
it was a botch.
It was botched. Junk promises. I mean, we're gonna get into Rian Johnson because he's slated to direct more movies and all that kind of stuff.
Is he?
We're gonna get into. Hold on to that because we're gonna go through the slate.
I don't even want to talk about that.
We're gonna go through the slate. No, we're talking about. Oh, we're getting into it. I think do it.
I just wanted to mention, I think the biggest reason why I'm mentioning the Bill Burr thing is because it was completely unexpected. I didn't expect them to bring him back this season because they obviously had made no mention about it. And you know, I follow Bill's social media, and I didn't, you know, there was no peep about it like up until it was happening. And then they made him an incredible character. Like he's a fucking Star Wars character now. Like, I can actually say that Bill Burr is a Star Wars character. Mayfield is a character in Star Wars that I actually care about. Give me that bald, redheaded action figure right now. Put it on my shelf.
It's just a picture of his character doing stand-up.
Did you guys see that video of him? It's like his character. It's like the Mando, but then it's overdubbed with him talking shit about Star Wars. Oh my god, it's so good. I love that.
I love how Favreau had to actually ask him to be in the show. Like they wrote that character for him.
Oh really?
Like yeah, Bill Burr talked about it on his podcast. They basically Favreau called him up and said, "We're writing a character for you in Star Wars. Do you want to do it?" And Bill Burr was like, you know, I trash Star Wars all the time, right? And Favreau's like, well, that's why I think you'd be perfect for it.
Exactly. Good.
And spot on, man. He was right. And even the slight jokes that he was cracking in that episode, that's how you do comedy in Star Wars. which is something that I didn't like even in The Force Awakens, because they kind of tried to turn Finn into that character a bit, with him and Harrison Ford getting into it, like trash compactor and stuff like that in The Force Awakens when they kidnapped what's that stormtrooper? I can't even remember what her name is. Captain Phasma, who's so forgettable. But yeah, it's like they tried to make everything like a running gag with him in The Force Awakens, and that's not how I remember humor in Star Wars. It's the Bill Burr thing is how I remember humor in Star Wars.
Yeah, the humor in Star Wars is almost like very like natural, kind of like off the cuff, real life humor. It's not so much like jokes. And I'm talking about in the original trilogy. Like,
yes,
I'm not talking about in the prequel trilogy or the more recent. But like in the original trilogy, it always felt very organic, the comedy.
Yeah, this isn't The Office, guys. This is fucking Star Wars. They're like saying all this, like I couldn't deal with it. And everyone's like, and a lot of people were like, it's humor. And I'm like, it's not fucking funny. It's not fucking funny. Okay, it's not. It's funny if you're like, no, it's not. I mean, like I'm with my little cousins, and they're like, what the fuck is this?
Like, if you laughed once at Jar Jar, unironically, you can fuck off.
Yeah. Trying to speak in patois. I'm like, what the space? Like, what is this shit? I felt bad for anybody of Caribbean descent. Basically, my whole thing, about the season, I mean, like, it really, I thought it was good the whole way through, but like once the Ahsoka part happened, I'm like, this is really turning into something super special. You know what I mean? Like it's the Rosario Dawson's casting was absolutely fantastic. She's generally good in like whatever she does, and she has like the high nerd levels enough to fully respect the character and like what it means to fans of the Clone Wars, and really kind of highlights, and I think the presence of it kind of like really highlighted what Dave Filoni's been able to achieve with that whole storyline, because people were just like, this is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And then teasing Thrawn at the end, like, wow.
Because this is what they should have fucking done in the first place. Like that whole storyline with Thrawn and everything, like the heir to the Jedi, like all this kind of shit. This is like what they should have done with the sequel trilogy. Like it just was, because they're dipping into this stuff anyways at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. What they need to do is just like be like, all right, all the books, all the everything, whatever, it's there, it's ripe for the taking. And then all they need to do to explain it away is like anytime they need to contradict it, be like, oh, those are based on myths, those are legends. So like obviously like legends and myths are going to contradict reality. So like, you know what I mean? So like anytime, like you can consider those 100, like pretty much essentially 100% canon, but then anytime it's contradicted or they have to retcon something, be like, oh, it's a myth. It's obviously going to get things wrong.
You could change a book. They changed fucking history in Braveheart. Like you know what I mean? Like this happens all, like this kind of shit. No one's going to be like, oh, they didn't fall. Like,
yeah, just to fully discount this entire rich lore and rich, all these stories and relegate them to like a B canon or whatever you want to call them is just stupid. Like Disney, when they came into it, you had the groundwork. Like you didn't have to follow it to a T, and now they're finally realizing, oh shit, we had that. Like we should have been doing that. And I know we're getting a little off topic here, but it really feels like they're like a retconning the new trilogy. Like
they should.
They're absolutely
they should.
They're just gonna. I was interesting because I was calling it a historical, a chronological retcon, where all they have to do, they don't have to actually omit it. They just have to do everything before it and never pay attention to it.
Yeah, all they need to do is ignore it.
John, what's another one of your highlights?
Probably, obviously Boba Fett coming back was huge. I still have my Boba Fett action figure on my shelf here that I've had since I was a kid. And I didn't like, I kind of expected it, but that was huge. And I even had some people kind of, by people I mean other friends, kind of add like, didn't he die and all that stuff? And I was like, yeah, but after seeing, Mando literally escaping from the bowels of this massive fucking creature, what was it, like a dragon or something they called it in episode 1 or whatever it was. Yeah. I forget what the name of the creature was. It's like, yeah, he could have survived the Sarlacc and all that stuff. So I had some friends that were kind of like iffy about that. But I, of course, was familiar with how he had survived in the comics because I had read about it.
Yeah, it takes a thermal detonator, right, and gets out.
One of them was about a thermal detonator, and there was another one about, I think there was a couple different stories, like legend stories about how he did it. Thermal detonator was obviously the number one, and then the other one was about how the Sarlacc, like, they consume you over 1,000 years or whatever it is. So, like, I guess the consciousness of one of its first victims absorbed itself into the Sarlacc, and Boba Fett was actually able to talk his way out. That was another interesting theory.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
I like that.
But I really, really liked how they put him in this season and how they utilized him coming back. And that was another thing that I guess the season as a whole did really well, is they brought in all these characters.
Yes.
That were incredible, like these legendary Star Wars characters, but they were not the center of attention. They managed to sort of give them the service that they deserved, while still telling a cohesive story about Mando and about Grogu.
Yeah, and I like how they brought back not only like legends, but also just like characters from the past season, like Cara Dune and like you know, just like that, the whole crew for the
and Fennec
for the Bill, for the Bill Burr episode and stuff. Like you had Horatio Sands and stuff like coming back. I just really liked how they brought back all those characters because it made it feel more like a cohesive storyline and a cohesive universe, as opposed to just like these characters that appeared for like half a scene or like an episode in season 1. Like, it definitely kind of really rounded out the universe, like as far as like the Mando storyline goes, and I really like that.
It wasn't until the Ahsoka episode that I really saw what they were trying to accomplish with setting up the universe and setting up all these other possibilities and these other series that they were trying to do. The picture became clear after that episode, and that was sort of the turning point, at least as far as my enthusiasm about the direction that they were taking this and where all these other series were sort of going to go. That's one of the other things I really liked about it, was just the way they incorporated all these characters.
I'll just jump in there quick. This wasn't a specific that I really liked, but I just wanted to bring up the fact that I feel like space battles, like I'm a nerd for space battles. I loves me some Star Wars space battles, and they've kind of been relegated. Like, I feel like in the newer trilogy, like especially in the third movie, there was like barely any space battles, and these were like huge, you know, set pieces of the original trilogy. And this season fucking brought that back. Like, you had almost every episode, you had like a big space battle, and it was like a big old dogfight. And it wasn't just like, oh, like these two kind of like ships are shooting at each other for a second and like one gets hit. It was like back to like the old school, like cutting together like World War II fighter plane footage into like these like really big set piece dogfights. And as I said, it wasn't just like two fighters shooting at each other. There's always kind of like theme to the fight almost. And I just really, really, really like that they're kind of bringing back the old school space fights to the series.
Those were always my favorite.
Yeah.
Like the battle, like the Battle of Endor, like is just so intense. Like when the X-Wings are like going like alongside the big ships and like the medical frigate and stuff, and the TIE fighters are following them, and they're like it's so intense. And just especially when you go from the speed of the Battle of Yavin in A New Hope compared to fucking Return of the Jedi, it's just like fucking mind-blowing. And I always loved it. That's what I was kind of missing also from kind of the prequels too. Like there was one in Phantom Menace, but it was just like this 8-year-old kid who's just shooting down shit by accident, and I was super
you had
fucking
the sick
worried.
one. You had in episode 2, I believe, you had the really good one between Django and Obi-Wan. That was a really good one. I gotta shout that one out from the prequel.
Yeah, that was pretty good. They also opened episode 3 with a big space battle too.
That's right.
I just wasn't enjoying.
I mean, it's no Return of
ones.
it's no Battle of Endor, Kyle.
Yeah.
I don't think anything will be, to be honest with you.
And then the new series, like the new sequel series was just friggin' it was just, I don't know, it was just like kind of devoid of character, you know what I mean? Which is kind of what I like about this, and I think you're totally right. Like they're bringing it in there, and you know, you're seeing TIE fighters, you're seeing all this stuff, you're seeing all the cool stuff, you're seeing all the stuff you used to love when you're a kid. and it's just really good. I really enjoyed also. We're getting to see Bo-Katan. I fucking love that. Really great casting, yet easy casting, because it was Katie Sackhoff who played her in this live action, but she also did the voice in the cartoons.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Because there was some controversy about Ahsoka, because they thought that the individual who did, I can't remember the name of the person who does the voice of Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, but there was that she should have been cast. But I think Rosario Dawson's fantastic. But yeah, Katie Sackhoff did a great job. Bo-Katan is fantastic. She's kind of had a little bit of an unceremonious end to that episode. I'm pretty sure she's gonna be back. I don't know, maybe I missed. Like, is she dead? Like, do we think? Is she come back? She dead?
She's got to fight Mando.
She's got to fight Mando.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That was kind of my favorite. That was one of my favorite parts of the episode, where they're like,
she's like, just take it. And she's like, I can't.
He's like, he goes to fucking Moff, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna take you to her. He's like, that should go over well, because he knows exactly what's. It was so fucking good.
Giancarlo, like in that episode, that was like his episode. Like Giancarlo Esposito killed that final episode. Like, he's just fucking maniacal.
He's so good. I mean, this guy was in Do the Right Thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking crazy. Like, I was just thinking about it. I mean, like, from Do the Right Thing all the way to Star Wars, like, it's so intense. And his character is just so good, and I just hope we're going to get more. I hope that's happening. But I don't know.
I actually think they nailed all the casting of the Imperial officers in this season. Even I forget the name of the actor that plays the guy that's Joe Chill from Batman Begins in the Bill Burr episode, but
and they had fucking Silas from like another Deadwood. What's his name? What's Silas's name from Deadwood?
I can't remember.
They had,
I forgot about that.
Dude, like half the cast of Deadwood was in this season.
Yeah,
which is I'm watching Deadwood again. And just like having seen that episode, like the first episode with like the opening scene in the bar, and I'm just like, wow, like just for somebody who's watching at that time currently going through Deadwood, it was a trip.
I want to look at that last episode a little bit more, specifically spoilers, obviously, the Luke Skywalker appearance. What did we think about that? Like, how, like, what's our thoughts on it?
I mean, it was fantastic.
It was so uncanny valley though. Like, they tried to de-age his voice, and like his voice sounded all fucked up, and his face looked all fucked up, and it just took me really out of it. I feel like they should have just like 100% CG'd him instead of like trying to do this like weird like half and half. I feel like they like took a real actor and then like put like they like mocapped his face, but then like de-aged his face and then put it on like a younger actor. I don't know.
No, they should. I heard the best suggestion on this. I think it was on Reddit. Sebastian Stan, the guy who played Winter Soldier, the guy who played Bucky, looks exactly like Mark Hamill and is a good actor.
Yeah, that would be good.
They should have fucking just recast it. It's okay. It's okay to recast it.
I think they wanted to, at least in my mind, probably give Mark Hamill one more sort of at bat with that. And
yeah, because he didn't like the last.
I can't fault them for that. I think it was mostly just.
Good point.
I mean, the CG and voice stuff aside, it didn't really take me out of it because I understood at least
the voice though.
See that the whole thing about that is the way they built it up and the way they revealed it was so awesome that I was totally okay with how it was presented. I'm not saying that they couldn't have done a better job, but I'm just saying that as like a storytelling mechanism for what they did there, it was very well done.
I just don't think you're going to see him much. That's why they did it. Like, I think if you were going to see him more, which I could be completely wrong. I mean, with that said, though, I'm like the de-aging thing. I'm generally completely against de-aging. Like, they got away with it in Rogue One because like she says one line, but this is doing like full-on close-ups and like conversation and all this kind of stuff. But I will say this: what I loved about that is that like the final lightsaber part in the hallway was like kind of a mirror of the one at the end of Rogue One.
Yeah,
like where he's just like absolutely, like it's super cool. Like he's got the numbers nullified in the hallway, and he just absolutely fucking carves through them, and like that's
slaying.
Like that's the Luke you want to see.
Yeah,
like because that's the guy you see. Because remember, Luke's a bitch. I mean, like he survives the fight with Vader, loses his hand. I know in the Shadows of the Empire book, Vader's very impressed at that because he fucking wastes most people. But in Jedi, this guy's like walking into Jabba's palace and just being like, I know it seems like we're in a bad situation here, but I assure you, I'm going to kill you. And he just owns the shit.
Yeah.
And he just fucking does it. He takes Vader out. Like, he's just the man. And this, it's there. Like, he is to the point now where he's using his force power. He's crushing dudes with his fucking fists. And it was so good. And it was just very, very, very memorable. But yeah, the de-aging took it out for me. I mean, some people, there were like, first of all, do you think this is a one-off, or do you think you will see more of him?
Sorry, go ahead, Andrew. You can go first.
No. Go for it.
I was just going to say, like, I have no problem with them recasting the part. I think the Sebastian Stan thing, by the way, that's been thrown around for a while now.
Yeah.
Especially by Star Wars fans on YouTube and social media. They've been talking about the Sebastian Stan thing for a while. I don't think the studio has ever even remotely hinted at that they're going to do that. So it's mostly just, I feel like it's drummed up by fans mostly. But if they're going to recast him and put him in stuff, I'm okay with it so long as they don't sort of overstay their welcome with it. And I don't know how I feel about it on the whole, but I would like to see more like that. Luke Skywalker is what I would like to see more of if we're going to see Luke, because the sequel Luke Skywalker is not Luke Skywalker. So, I mean, if they're looking to correct a wrong, okay, go for it. But, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what they decide to do. But
yeah, I think if they are going to recast him, there needs to be some sort of like passing the torch scene. Kind of like, they could almost do like a, Mark Hamill like looking like at the like a memory of himself, and in his memory he's like the different actor or something. I don't know if like as you guys were saying, I don't know if he's gonna be a mainstay, but really if he is gonna be a mainstay, they gotta fucking recast him. Like I can't deal with this uncanny valley fucking.
You can't have it be a thing that's reoccurring. You can't have the de-aging be a reoccurring thing.
Yeah, and you had Grand Moff Tarkin in Solo. Oh, and it's just like
Peter Cushing looks like he has no life anyway, so that was an easy one to like. It looks like a corpse.
Yeah.
So, but still.
Yeah, even in this one, like Luke had some like weird like shininess to him, and his like eyes weren't looking in the right area. I don't know. It just real like. I was on board like the whole time. I was like, yes, this is fucking sick. Like Luke Skywalker, I love Luke. He's carving dark troopers up in the hallway. I'm all about it. And then he takes his hood off and I'm like, yay! And it's just like, it really took me out.
Yeah,
the best de-aging I've ever seen is Sean Young from Blade Runner 2049 when they brought her back into the room with Deckard. I have never seen anything remotely close to being that good.
That was really good.
And it was, not only was it good, it was totally believable. And I still don't understand how that cannot be replicated, or how at least the quality of what they did with that can't. Like, is it a matter of budget? Is it a matter of time? Is it a matter of like the post-production house that's doing it? I don't get it.
It's Deakins, bro. Even though he's not, it's Deakins, bro. Even though he's not even doing it, even though he's not the one actually doing the effects, it's just
they don't want to disappoint him.
They're they're like, first of all, we got Ridley Scott, who he's the Grand Moff Tarkin of fucking film. So like, I don't know, man. I think that's a really good point. Like from an emotional standpoint, when I saw it, I was like, yes. As soon as the X-wing landed, I'm like, that's Luke. Mm-hmm. The X-wing lands, the green lightsaber comes out. I'm like, this is Luke Skywalker. 100%.
Oh, I thought it was. You know who? I thought it was the guy from Kim's Convenience. And
no, I knew it wasn't. I know what you're thinking.
I swear, I thought it was them at first. I was like, oh, it's the dudes from before, like, because they haven't been talked about. And then as soon as when I saw the lightsaber, I was like, well, it's obviously.
Yeah, I mean, like, so, I mean, I like that it was actual Luke, not like the broke as fuck one from the new trilogy. I mean, I wasn't even mad like that he was grumpy Luke, and like I love actually that he tried to kill Kylo Ren. I thought that was a really good idea. The problem is everything else constructed around him about it. You know what I mean? Like I like this idea of him. Like I thought they were going to go more in the lines of him really seeing and going through the evils of dogma and all this kind of stuff. But they didn't actually.
It was a cool idea. It was just executed poorly.
Yeah, exactly. And like again, I'm the kind of person where I don't really care what the decision is as long as it makes fucking sense, because everyone can't make everything that's going to fucking impress you, but it has to make fucking sense to be executed properly. So like for this, it was like really fucking good, but like dipping back into anything to do with the Skywalkers just because I feel like I have trauma. Like I like that we're going to be living in a post Skywalker universe where hopefully he's just in there because he's teaching the Jedis and stuff. Like if they're going into Thrawn, like I think eventually they have to kind of do something like that. But like I just thought it was really well put. Like I thought it was well put together. I just think that I like the idea of it being post Skywalkers, and a lot of that we're going to get into the investor call that kind of created the news of all these new Star Wars, all this new Star Wars content kind of was very much pitching like the post Skywalker situation. So guys, I want to talk about how the Mandalorian has affected the perception of the Star Wars IP. You know, how has your perceptions changed since the credit rolled on Rise of Skywalker with this kind of new direction of the franchise? Why don't you start us off, Lanza?
It makes me hopeful for the future, for sure. Like the franchise was in a pretty dark spot before. We had, Mandalorian, which was decent. It was, a step in the right direction, but it wasn't, season 2 Mandalorian, where it was mind blowing. So you had, what the fuck was Rise of Skywalker, whatever that fucking movie was called. So you had Rise of Skywalker, which was obviously ending the trilogy on a sour note. You had Mandalorian, which was like, and then, you had Clone Wars, which is generally, pretty well received. But I would say at the end of this, there is just a lot more hope. There's a new hope for the Star Wars universe, if I may.
Yeah, well, you did. I mean, I had said I was never going to watch Rise of Skywalker, and I ended up seeing it, like, I think a month after it came
surprise.
out.
You're a sheep.
Yeah, I'm a sheep. It's the worst pile of shit I've ever seen in my life, though. So, it was horrible, and obviously I, didn't have any interest really in Star Wars after that. Like I was, even when this series came out in season 1, I was just kind of like, cool, it's Disney Star Wars and it's a series, awesome, I don't care. And it wasn't until this season that that they've piqued my interest to see how they're going to do things going forward. Now, that being said, they're doing a lot of shows.
Yeah, I'm just worried about that brand for that like franchise fatigue, the brand fatigue with all this fucking.
That was my first thought as well, Andrew. And I think that there's like 3 or 4 shows I'm interested in, and we're
gonna get into it. Don't start getting into them specifically.
Okay. Well, I think like that. Like, just seeing how many that they plan on doing has me a little bit concerned. But if they are going to go this route of, the universe, and they're going to establish all of these characters and set them up properly, then I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm willing to give the new blood a chance. The new blood being Favreau and Rodriguez and Filoni, and we'll see how they go with it. But I don't know. I'm hoping that they put a cap on the J.J. Abrams era of Star Wars, because
he's done.
It's not Star Wars.
It's pretty incredible that Favreau has essentially relaunched 2 massive brands.
What I don't understand is how they didn't foresee something like this in the first place. Like, they bring in a guy like J.J. Abrams, who failed at Star.
Force Awakens was a decent movie. I don't know, man.
I mean, it was a soft reboot. It was decent, but it was okay. In hindsight, it's a pointless movie though, because of
That's
the
the
other
big
two.
thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I enjoyed it, but
In
it's
hindsight,
like
that's
it's a
not
pointless-
JJ's fault though. Essentially, I mean,
Well,
fucking
I mean,
Rian Johnson.
Well, I mean, you can only blame.
it's
well, sure,
Kathleen
but
Kennedy's fault.
yeah.
let's
so
be real here. It's let's yeah. It's
I think there's enough blame to go around for everybody.
Yeah, fuck all of them. Really.
It's just that I've been saying bad things about J.J. Abrams since Star Trek because he managed to ruin that IP, and then they put him in charge of an even bigger IP. When I heard he was doing it, I was not pumped about it, even though I may have had some enjoyment over the Force Awakens. In hindsight, the movie is meaningless.
So essentially, J.J. Abrams goes around ruining franchises,
That's
and
exactly
Jon
right.
Favreau goes around fixing franchises.
Boom.
Wow.
Also,
Hot
J.J.
takes.
Abrams' pedigree isn't movies. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I
he's
don't know,
not.
man. I love Super 8. I keep bringing it back.
I'm
to
not
Super
saying
8.
I'm not
I
saying
love
I'm not saying
8.
Super 8 is good, but that's not like establishing like a massive movie franchise, like helming pedigree. I mean, like he's really rooted in television.
He did that. He did a solid Mission Impossible movie as well.
Did he
I'll
do
throw that out
3?
there.
Did he do 3?
I think he did
Yeah,
3.
he did
was that
3.
Ghost Protocol?
No, that
just-
was the
just
4th. That was
3.
What
no,
was the third one?
the
It's just
third
called
one is
3.
with the one. Yeah, it's with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh
and
yeah,
shit.
MI3, right?
Yeah.
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 I mean, like for me, going to the Rise of Skywalker was like watching a public execution. So, like for me, this season has been like the defibrillator.
Yeah.
Just like it's we're upgrading from dead to on life support, which is fantastic, which is far superior to what it was before. And I think that the fact that John Neal feels somewhat of a childlike wonder with it again is one thing, because he's the Grinch who stole Star Wars,
Yeah.
and he's back, and you know what? Completely justified, because it's garbage. But now it's like really good, and I love this talk about the post-Skywalker era. I love what it's teasing, and I love how people feel about it again, even from a toy standpoint, like Baby Yoda. Like no, I don't want to get a fucking Kylo
Put some
Ren
respect
shit.
on his name.
Put some respect on the fucking Grogu.
Yeah.
Is that really his name? I don't like that. Listen, I love Baby Yoda. Grogu's a dumb name.
What? I love Grogu. I feel like as soon as they said his name, I'm like, "Yup, he's a Grogu."
Grogu sounds like a character that's really good at countering Ryu in Street Fighter.
He sounds like a Mortal Kombat character.
He does.
Yeah.
Grogu. He's
Yeah.
fucking Sub-Zero's fucking half brother.
He's after fucking Goro before Kintaro.
Secret character.
Yeah.
So what I really want to kind of get at, what this kind of dovetails into is, a couple weeks ago Disney dropped. Was it a couple weeks ago? It was like fucking few days ago. Disney
Time
a
is
couple weeks.
meaningless.
The time is. I'm losing track.
Yeah.
Anyways, very recently Disney dropped the new Star Wars development slate with a heavy emphasis on expanding the IP. So I want to talk about some of these projects. Is there any we're excited for, how we feel about it? Do we feel any are a creative stretch? I want to quickly start with the movies because there's not much information about them. The only one that there's really information about is Rogue Squadron, which is going to be helmed by Patty Jenkins, who does Wonder Woman, who I don't like Wonder Woman, but she is a more than competent director.
Yes. Rogue. I'm excited for Rogue Squadron. That's one of the few that I'm excited for. I know that I believe Patty Jenkins, like her father used to be a
She was
fighter
a fighter pilot. Yeah. That's why she
Oh,
wanted
really?
to do it.
That's
yeah,
cool.
and that was, I think, the main reason why she lobbied for that. So, yeah, I'm 100% on board for a Rogue Squadron movie, and that's going to fulfill Andrew Lance's need, I believe, of
I
seeing
was
more
just about to
fights
say.
in outer space.
I
So-
like when there's explosions.
I like
Yeah, I'm
boom,
down with
boom.
it. I want to be
Yeah.
bombing AT-AT factories and shit like that. Like this is
Hell
what
yeah! Like
this
it's
is what
called
we gotta
Rogue
do.
Squadron. There better be some callbacks to like the Rogue Squadron game and shit. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like this is gonna be the dogfight movie. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Get some characters in there, whatever. Get some characterization, but like, give me some like extended dogfight sequences.
Well, Patty
Yeah.
Jenkins said because of her father, she always wanted to make the greatest fighter pilot movie in history, but she did not have the proper story for it. But then when this fell into her lap, she was like, that's the fucking story.
Yeah.
So
That
like,
makes me happy to hear.
yes, like it really sounds good. Also, I don't like Wonder Woman but my not liking
I
Wonder
haven't seen
Woman, it's not even that the movies, it's that 80 years ago they created a character called Wonder Woman. And like, I just don't like it. You know, I just don't like that character. But Patty Jenkins is a great filmmaker, and to be very honest with you, like that's also just my, you know, my personal opinion. People really enjoy those movies. She can do it.
The production is really good in those movies.
Exactly.
It's the character that you don't like.
She is a perfect individual to do these movies, like to do that movie. No, there's definitely no problem there. I want to move on though, because we got a lot to get through. Taika Waititi, Untitled Star Wars story. I'm very excited for this.
Dude, you see his tweet? He was like, I've been talks to direct a Star Wars movie. I can't believe, what did he say? He's like, I can't believe I messed it up or something like that. Just like so on the point. Like, I can't believe what I did to the franchise. Like, so self-aware, so on brand, so on point.
That makes me feel better about it. At least that he's self-aware about all these things that have been happening.
I think
that's good.
I think I can speak for all of us say when we're Taika Waititi fans. He does great.
Yes.
Is fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
Rian Johnson is set to do a new trilogy.
I thought they were canning that.
Are they canning it? But like, Screen Rant just put up 2 days ago that Rian Johnson is set to do it.
I have not heard anything about it,
Yeah.
so this is news to me. I mean, I heard that it was like happening maybe, but I also heard that there was like the Game of Thrones guys. Well, what are the names? Fucking Benioff and Weiss.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing one, and that got canned. And then I heard that Rian Johnson was doing one, and that got canned. So this is news to me for sure.
Hold on a second here, John. You're correct. This got. I'm reading some insider stuff from fucking December 12th, 2020. It has been scrapped. So. Fuck you, people on the internet.
I'm okay with that.
Which is good. I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely fucking fine with it. Then there's going to be, and this is kind of one of the big signals that they're moving in a Marvel direction, because Kevin Feige is supposed to be rumored to be directing a movie of it, and as you know, he's the one of the orchestrators of the Marvel universe and the Marvel extended universe, one of like the architects of it. So I think
he's like the guy.
Yeah. So like he's the mastermind. And J.D. Dillard of who did Luke Cage is also going to be doing one. I'm not sure. All of these are still kind of up in the air in terms of like what they're actually going to be. But that's I
feel like Disney's just like throwing a bunch of pasta at the wall and seeing what sticks. And like whatever people are hyped about, they're like, yeah, we're going to develop that one.
Yeah.
J.D. Dillard, I mean, like Luke Cage was pretty good. I mean, and he's a competent showrunner. So like I think what they're trying to do is bring about younger people as opposed to like as well as some of the more established people. Let's get into the TV though. Just so the TV stuff though. So the big one that's just recently been talked about is the Book of Boba Fett. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that one's a new announcement, right?
Yeah. Because it was there was a little teaser at the end of the season 2 finale.
Yeah.
Well, was there?
Yes.
No, after the credits. You didn't
after
see
the
that?
credits. After the credits. Yeah.
Fuck, I didn't see that. What am I doing with my life?
If there's Star Wars fans that listen to this, they're gonna crucify you in the comments.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck? You know what you're doing? You are fucking really lowering our credibility."
That's not good.
He was high, guys. He was
honestly high. Just edit me out of this entire podcast.
Oh my God.
I'm not even recording your parts.
I don't even want to tell you what happens. You have to see what happens. He hasn't even seen what happens.
Well, fuck. Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch that episode again. I guess.
Yeah. Well, like
I'm sorry, I got to like the fucking credits and I was like, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I stopped it right after. Like, I'm not going to the credits on a TV show. So what happened was we were then informed. We heard it through the social media and the fucking internet pipeline. Yeah. And like, I'm really excited about that. I love what they're doing with Boba Fett. He's fucking sick. I mean, I'm down for all like more Boba Fett. Like
that's one of the shows I'm excited about.
And that's the one that Robert Rodriguez is attached to.
Yes,
that's sick. That's sick.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a mercenary animated show, right? What was that one called?
Bad Batch.
Yeah. So
that one kind of looks like a dirty dozen kind of like fucking Republic Commando. If y'all remember.
There's a Rangers of the New Republic, and then there's the Bad Batch is the animated one too.
Yeah, I was talking about Bad Batch.
Yeah. I mean, like, my only thing with like Book of Boba Fett is like, let's not get. He's gonna try. Fucking Robert Rodriguez is trying to do El Mariachi style for $12,000. He's just gonna donate blood to fucking get the cash to do it.
Shoot it on an Arri ST.
He's gonna shoot it on an ST, a Bolex.
He's fucking cinematographer, director, and composer on it.
Yeah.
I want to point out I want to shout out one thing I did not enjoy about Boba Fett. I didn't like that he was wearing a cloak under his armor. I thought it looked awkward. I think fucking Mando looks sharp as fuck. I think all the Mandalorians look sharp as fuck. I think Boba Fett Mandalorian looks sharp as fuck. Him with the, I don't know, it looks like he's like wearing his armor on top of his like winter coat. It's like he's going out for Halloween and his mom's like, no, you got to wear your winter coat. And then he put his armor on top of it. I don't know. It just looks really awkward to me.
I did like the new paint job though that they wheeled him out.
Oh, that looks slick. The armor
7.
looks slick. Don't get me wrong. It's just the armor on top of like his kind of black cloaky thing.
I don't mind the darker fabric underneath. I think you're trying to say he's a bit too bulky. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's what I'm trying to say. It looked too bulky. I didn't like the silhouette. Like Mandalorians look always very sleek.
Yeah.
Very like their silhouette's very sleek, fucking hard edges, and that just kind of like made it as that's a perfect terminology, is bulky to me.
Cool.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's the one I'm most excited for. Ewan McGregor back in the saddle, like the part he was born to play, essentially coming back. That's what I'm most excited for. I don't care what's happening in that show. I feel like that's going to be good. Just having Ewan McGregor being on the screen.
It's my favorite of his roles where he's not doing heroin.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one I'm also Boba Fett and Obi-Wan I'm really excited about. I'm still kind of sitting here wondering what exactly they're going to do for that show, because I mean at this point he's just on Tatooine protecting Luke, right? So I'm still
It's after Revenge of the Sith, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sort of kind of wondering exactly how they're gonna bring Vader into it, because Christensen's coming back to play Darth Vader, and I mean I'll just have to wait and see. But I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. That was probably my favorite thing about the prequels, to be honest.
He's the best. He's the best part of the prequels.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That and obviously
Jar Jar.
Yeah, Jar Jar Binks is fantastic. Great casting. Great everything. Great writing. Great visual effects. Just give me an entire Jar Jar Binks series.
Do you think this Obi-Wan show is gonna be just Ewan McGregor being like a curmudgeon hermit on Tatooine, just with like salt in his ass? I mean, just sand in his ass crack,
just yelling at Jawas and shit.
Yeah, chasing around Tusken Raiders.
I'm wondering if they're gonna bring Darth Maul for it, like in Clone Wars.
I mean, they've I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting.
Cassian Andor, I don't give a fuck. I just don't. I can't.
I honestly, I saw that and I was like, I don't give a shit.
Watch it be the sleeper best one.
I'm all for that. Listen, I'm all for being surprised.
Yeah.
But like the character, I'm not interested.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's supposed to be like a tense thriller.
It's rebel spies, man. It's all about rebel spies.
I don't know. We'll see. If it's good, I'll watch it. If it's not good, I won't.
If it ends up being good, that's listen. I'm all for all of these being good.
Oh, if they're all good, I'll watch them all. But it's like if I hear one's terrible, I'm probably not going to watch it.
Yeah.
The Bad Batch.
Unless it's Obi-Wan. If I heard Obi-Wan was terrible, I'd still watch it.
Yeah, I'd still watch it. Let's move on to the Bad Batch. We just talked about that. Any excitement for that?
I'm interested.
I'm interested. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's obviously the Ahsoka has been teased and all that kind of stuff. So with the Ahsoka series, that I am fucking absolutely jacked for.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm most interested in.
I agree.
I would watch that for sure.
I agree.
That's
actually
another one that if I heard was bad, I'd still watch.
Yeah. I actually think that probably is the number one for me that I'm interested in.
Over Obi-Wan, really?
Yeah, I think so. Just because, I mean, it's Ahsoka in live action. Right, like after I finished all of the Clone Wars and Rebels stuff, I really, really like her character. She might be one of the best characters in all of Star Wars.
The irony here is that I absolutely fucking hated the prequels for a long period of time, but am most excited about the prequel type characters. Like Obi-Wan is obviously in A New Hope, but I am like super interested in those two the most.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. You guys are a little more familiar with the Clone Wars than I am. So why is Ahsoka never mentioned in episode 3 if she's like such a huge character in the pre is that just like an oversight? Like what's up with that?
I would think it's mostly because George didn't have Clone Wars really planned out, or it's kind of like the New Hope thing, right? Where, I don't necessarily know if he know that Luke was going to be Leia's brother until he wrote, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I don't know.
So it's just one of those things where you're just kind of like, whatever. It's just, it was made after the fact.
Yeah, but
go along with it.
When did Revenge of the Sith drop?
2003.
Okay, so Clone Wars, I think the first episode was well after that.
Yeah, because we had the
It was 2008. Yeah,
we had the, what do you call it? What's the guy from Samurai Jack?
You had the fucking Tartakovsky.
Yeah, Tartakovsky Clone Wars. You had that, and there was no
which is
Ahsoka
fantastic.
in that.
No,
Oh, it's so good, but that's not
Yeah.
canon at all. That's just like that. I think at the time it was canon, but then after the fact, like that was shit. Like,
so I think it was an after. I think it was an afterthought because like during the prequel trilogies, he's trying to be a master so he can like take on a Padawan and stuff like that, and they deny him. So like I think they kind of like filled in that part of the discussion with it, and I think in hindsight that's the best story from that era. Like it really gets into a lot, like especially when it starts going into like the Mandalorian lore and all that kind of shit, and like all that shit with Savine and all that. Like it was really 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 good.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have another question for you guys. If I were like, I've dabbled in Clone Wars, like I've seen like bits here and there. If I were to watch Clone Wars now, I know that there's two trains of thought where it's like I can watch it chronologically or in release. What do you guys recommend?
I mean, just watch it chronologically.
Well, because like you can like it wasn't released chronologically. Like it jumps around in the timeline. Like if you watch it like episode 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But then there is I found a Reddit thread that actually links to all the episodes in chronological order.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen that.
Oh, sorry. I didn't get what you were trying to say.
Chronological in time frame or chronological as in like release.
Oh.
So the release and like chronological like and like timeline are two different things.
I watched them from like order of release.
Yeah, same.
And then I like started dabbling into that because I know which Reddit thing you're talking about.
It actually links the Reddit thread links it like perfectly
I honestly
to, like, the Disney Plus
I honestly
episodes.
think in hindsight that's what you should do. I really
watch
do
it
think that.
in like chronological order, not release order.
Yeah, watch it in chronological order. I always love it when these this is one thing I love about other fans is that some of them are so creative with it that they'll suggest things like that and it kind of like enriches the experience. I would definitely try it like that because it jumps around, right?
Yeah,
it does.
So I want to keep moving, guys. Rangers of the New Republic. Nah.
That's a big meh.
Yeah.
There's Lando.
Oh, they're trying to do the solo thing.
And they didn't say if it's gonna be Billy D or
it's just
or,
Billy D.
Donald
Williams.
Glover.
He's drinking Colt 45.
Imagine it's both. If it's both, fuck, I'm down. Whatever. That sounds kind of cool.
So Justin Simeon, who did the show, the Netflix show Dear White People, is the showrunner. There's talk about Donald Glover. I'm not sure where that's at. But like that's a show I have to be convinced to watch.
Yeah, I have.
Did you guys like Donald Glover in Solo?
I still haven't seen Solo.
I don't
really. What?
I don't like how they did him, but I think he's good in the role. You know what I mean? Like
I'm surprised you haven't seen Solo, John.
I have no interest in Solo.
No, he's
come on, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's such a great movie.
No, I'm good.
What? I am genuinely surprised. It's a great flick. Star Wars.
I know
Star Wars.
you've been bigging it up for the longest time. Everyone else doesn't like it though, so I'm good.
I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody I've talked to, especially Star Wars fans, have liked it.
Well, I mean, if you only talk to certain Star Wars fans, I'm sure they're going to like it.
Well,
But-
I don't know. At least I've seen the movie and can make an educated.
I believe you said it was universally praised, and
Okay, maybe not universally. Maybe if I said universally, I'll take that back. But it was generally reviewed in a positive manner.
I think what happened with it is like the overall box office didn't work out, so they kind of pulled back on it. And then also it was like marred with production issues, like changing.
And
like,
there was brand
Ron
fatigue
Howard.
at the time too. It's like it was
Well,
coming off like
the whole situation with it is like they created, instead of 1 year gaps, 2 year gaps
it's
between
like
the
8-month gaps.
Yeah, but what happens is, well, they created that so they could start slotting in these like anthology series, like fucking like Rogue One and fucking Solo, but it just didn't it didn't pan out, and they kind of changed that strategy. And then I think now looking at the whole TV situation, they understand that that's where they're
pivoting to that for sure, because there was going to be the Boba Fett movie. They were going to do the Star Wars.
The whole thing was
stories.
coming in. Yeah,
that was the next one. It was going to be like Rogue One, then Solo, and then a Boba Fett movie, and they're fully just turning that into whatever Mandalorian spin-off they're going to do.
I still think they're investing too much in movies at this point.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason they can really get Disney can deal with it because, I mean, they have like the way they're bringing in money is so diversified that they can they can take risks like that. But I think the TV is really like that. I mean, that's where it is. I gotta keep moving though, guys.
Oh wait, I just have one quick hot take.
Okay,
I think
hot take.
as far as movies go, what they need to do is what they were going to do with the Benioff and Weiss. Maybe not sign on for a trilogy, but they need to do an Old Republic movie. Just fucking erase, like, just not erase, but just like completely go back in time, detach themselves completely from the Skywalker, whatever, and just do an Old Republic movie that's a standalone movie that has the potential for spin-offs. But
I want you to hold on to that thought though, because there is something coming up about that. So it's called The Acolyte. So it's the same runner as showrunner as Russian Doll, who is, I believe, Leslie Headland. It's the first Star Wars show to take place during the High Republic era, which was like 400 years before the Trade Federation started their austerity measures, fucking up everyone's 401ks and Phantom Menace. So 400 years before that. So it's really the first one that's taking place during that time period.
Well, then, I should have looked into that. I did not know that.
Well, that's fucking great, Lanza.
Listen, there's like
Wonderful.
fucking 96 Star Wars announcements for Disney. I'm sorry, I missed one of the 96.
It's all in the same week. I was on this investor call. I was on this fucking call.
Yeah. Which Star Wars expansion is the D2 soft reboot? The fucking is the Mighty Ducks. I'm excited for the Mighty Ducks soft reboot. That's my favorite Star Wars.
That's okay. So actually, Lanza, this was actually kind of an interesting one that I want to talk about. It's called Star Wars Visions. It's a first ever Star Wars anime that's going to be basically like done.
Oh, I heard about this, and like different. It's going to be like different anime directors doing each episode, right? Yeah, I heard about this.
I fucking really like. That's a really
sick. Yeah, it's gonna be. It reminded me of. Do you remember Animatrix back in the day?
Oh yes, 100%.
Yeah, like for people that don't know, Animatrix was like based on the Matrix. It came out in between, I think, the first and second movie.
Yes,
and it was like a straight to DVD. They played one of them, which was like a Final Fantasy, like the people that did a Final Fantasy movie, they did like an episode, Final Flight of the Osiris. Anyway, reminded me of that. Just like a little anthology series that even like what's that one on Netflix now? Love and Robots. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Yeah, I feel like it should be like it's going to be a little bit like that. Like each one's going to be its own kind of vibe. Each one's going to be its own little flavor. I'm very excited for this one. Like kind of like an anthology series. I think it's going to be really cool. Take the series, and especially it's going to be anime. Like man, like you know, I'm a sucker. But I think it's going to be good. I'm excited for this one.
I think it's going to be I'm all for them doing really cool stuff like that. You know what I mean? Really experimenting with it, because that kind of like, because I thought, even though it's not canon now, I was really enjoy the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, because I just really enjoyed the animation style with it. It was really, really good. I like the idea that they're even going to take one more step to it and really kind of go into the, you know, that anime style, and really like, because I mean there's so many, like I've only just started scratching the surface with anime in terms of like from like Attack on Titan and all that kind of stuff, and expanding out from there. That was kind of like my gateway drug.
If you need recos, let me know.
Yeah, trust me, I know. I'm aware. Like, you know what I mean? So it's really cool. Like there's so many talented people that they can tap for this, and it's just going to be really good. The final one is it's supposed to be a story on droids.
A droid story.
Yeah, a droid story. Does anybody remember the animated droid show back in the day?
No.
Yeah, I never watched. There was like an Ewoks one too.
It was back to back with the Ewoks, 4:00 on a fucking Sunday afternoon.
I remember I caught random like bits here and there. I'm always like, these are terrible. Like even as a kid, I knew they were bad.
In hindsight, there was nothing to do in the winter and a Sunday afternoon. So I just fucking watched them, and they are objectively terrible. I hope it's cool droids.
I don't know what like that's the other one that's like I'm like man. Okay, as far what was this Old Republic one you were saying? Is that a movie or a TV show? Sorry,
it's a show.
That's a show.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's like the Russian doll showrunner?
Yeah. So the showrunner, her name is Leslie Headland. That show is very interesting. Russian Doll. I found it. I really enjoyed it. My girlfriend was watching it. I started like hanging on to watch it, and it was just really good. And I think someone with that level of storytelling doing a Star Wars series, I really like the possibilities of it. And also it's just such a cool time frame because the
There's
idea
so many possibilities
because the Old Republic is incredible, like Knights of the Old Republic and all that kind of shit is
it's
fucking
ripe right now. Like nothing's been other than like games that are like not even considered canon anymore. Like you need to use those games as like a framework, like use that storyline as a framework, and then like that entire like that's just a whole new IP like almost like you have Jedi and you have lightsabers kind of, and like you have Mandalorians kind of. Well, I mean you have those things, but it's like new like early iterations of them, and it's just like it's just ripe for the taking. Like there you go, guys, have fun, like go nuts.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got to get going. We have definitely done more than a full hour on this. I think we can all agree that The Mandalorian has kind of, reawakened,
reinvigorated
and re-justified the love of Star Wars, because I think we kind of felt a little jilted. Okay, so we were really jilted, which, as you can tell if you heads up, listen to the Rise of Skywalker. It's one of our first podcasts when we were the Mind Refinery podcast.
Was that the first one?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah,
very first one.
Yeah, and you know what I mean? John was drinking heavy, and because he had to, because I completely understand it. And I think we're just hoping that the rest of this pans out, because I think they've really started something fantastic.
I almost kind of I keep remembering that conversation and you talking about how you wish Star Wars could be like comics, in that you could have sort of a one-off movie or something about a character, but it be from someone's own perspective, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Like Joker, right? For example.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
The more that we go along with this, the more I wish that would be how it sort of would become, because
seems like they're heading that direction, to be honest.
Which is good, because I mean the sequels are just no. And I almost just kind of feel like that everything should, from after Return of the Jedi, should almost be treated like Legends to some degree, because
well, it seems like that's kind of I feel like they're just gonna ignore it. Like they're not gonna reference it. It's gonna be a thing, like it's gonna be canon, but they're just gonna 100% ignore it. Like there's no real big impact on the entire storyline in that trilogy. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like they're just gonna ignore it.
I hope so.
Yeah. Just push it out to the fringes. On that note, guys, thank you so much for doing this, and everyone have hopefully you have a safe holidays and everything, and we'll talk to you soon.
Peace. Happy holidays, y'all.